one of the ways people recognize they're growing in the inner rings of your community is they're contributing more. Now, we also need to recognize, for example, when I come to an event, I host, as you know, over 50 events a year. I don't want to cater your event. So if you're inviting me to dinner, I understand that you want other people to bring food because you want to cook everything, and that's fine. But I'm already doing 50 events a year. How about I just come to your house and enjoy a meal? And so we can, as leaders, have this discussion, understand there's a power there to invite people to co-host, contribute, and then to make an event fun for everyone, make sure, remember rule 1, freedom to say yes or no, a freedom to decline because they're tired or they got a sick kid or they just flew in from another time zone. And it's onerous when you say, well, if you got to come, you got to tow your own weight, so to speak, every single time, regardless of what's going on in your life.
I think that actually brings me to like something that I've seen leaders often struggle with is like, they have that thing. I'm hosting this event. I have that thing that I just cringe every time I have to do it. And I just don't want to do it anymore. And so, they'll just kind of pick someone randomly.
Mm-hmm.
They're just like, oh, okay. Hey, Charles, great. Like maybe you can do the social media. And you're just like, I really don't want to do that. So I do think there's like a matching exercise that could happen. And ideally, like sometimes maybe it's the first event, it could be difficult, but like as you continue to host, you start to identify like what people are into. So like, you and I have been able to have dinner together multiple times. So I would know, like, maybe I shouldn't ask, Charles to bring something because it's, going to be a lot of work and gosh, he like cooks all the time and that's not gonna be relaxing for him. But for you, maybe to lead a prompt as we sit down for dinner, that's probably really easy for you.
Well, and I
You
like
can
when
do it
people
yourself.
say, is there something you'd like to bring? Right? Because it could be this month I'm practicing a certain cookie recipe and I'd love to bring a dozen cookies, right? Maybe. But when you say, hey, will you bring dessert? Or hey, will you bring, it's like, I can. And I don't want to cater the 51st meal because you invited me over. Give me the freedom of that. Now I'm unusual, right? Because that in fact, we're hosting 2 dinner parties this week. So 50 is actually a conservative number. But the point is there's a diversity of capacity and interest in members, and we can respect that. And if you say, well, gee, I don't want to do it all myself all the time, right? Then you need to find out who wants to contribute. Fair enough. And if nobody wants to contribute, then you're picking an event that's too sophisticated. Go meet at Trailhead. Go meet at a beach, right?
Right. Yeah. I just have seen how critical the matching is. And I think the other piece of the matching that I think is really valuable is that when someone invites you to do something that like fits your skill set, it helps identify their contributions, like something that they're good at. And the social media example is probably a little bit of a crude one. But what we see very commonly is like for that running club, for example, someone could say, hey, Charles, I'd love for you to help us with the sweep tonight, this to make sure that no runners get left behind. And we've just seen how great you are with people and that like people really like you and connect with you here in this community. And that would be like really valuable. And all of a sudden, like that invitation is not just like, hey, we just need someone to do XYZ who's like is there a warm body out there? It's like more intentional. Like we're trying to invite you because we have recognized the skill set in you and this contribution that you've been making. Let's like almost formalize it, in this kind of role that you can play and kind of serving the community through this event.
So I'm using Halo. I've been using Halo for years. I know that your team is constantly making it better. And one of the great things about Halo is it's free for people experimenting with it, and it can remain free if they're small users. And then when the best thing ever happens, a community grows and maybe they've got dues and maybe they've got a fee structure, then Halo can help them do that and take a small fee to organize that. And in that whole process, you're not selling their attention to a sponsor secretly or in some conflicting incentive. So if anybody's inspired to at least check Halo out, what should they do to just figure out what's different about Halo than the other platforms?
We would love to invite them to visit halo.com. We have a lot of information available there.
That's
for
HEYLO.com.
HEYLO, the friendly version, we like to say, Charles. We have a lot of information there available for leaders to see. Halo can help them, ultimately build great communities and bring people together. We also take a lot of pride in supporting leaders. So we have really robust resources available for folks, whether it's written documents or joining a leaders community or having direct connection with folks on our team if they need anything. We're really passionate about the people who are bringing people together. And if we can do right to serve them, we will find the ways to do so.
Yeah. And I know that you take this seriously enough because I've personally attended a live event, catered live event, where you brought together people who are using the platform for their own groups so that you could help them learn from one another. And I know that there was no fee associated and there was no advertising associated. You just catered a room, invited them in because you wanted them to get better. And it was really moving.